You're a mum, you're a mum, you're a busy mum. Come listen to the Busy Mum podcast. Life hacks and inspiration for the busy modern mum.
Hi and welcome to the Busy Mum podcast. This podcast is sponsored by my fabulous accountant, Nicole Canali of Canali Tax and Accounting. If you want to hear more about Nicole, she was one of my first guests. I interviewed her on this podcast, episode 14. Check her out. Nicole is a great accountant and together with her team offers services such as data entry, bank recs, BAS for businesses, company tax returns, and personal tax returns. She also has a great network of professionals around her and can help with all things financial. Give her a call on 1300 001 971 or email her at info@canalitaxaccounting.com.au. Now let's dive into that interview. Welcome to the Busy Mum podcast, Claire. How are you this morning?
I'm good, Jackie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Off air, we just spoke about some weird stuff, so I'm going to not put that in this podcast.
This is what you're telling me now. I know it's going to be in
It's going to be little snippets towards the end. I'll just chuck them in there with my fantastic editing skills. So who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do as a business. You've got this brand new office that no one can see, but I'll put like little screenshots of it as well because you've got that beautiful picture in the background. So just tell me about you. How do you define yourself, Claire?
As we just confirmed, we are actually the same age, Jackie and I. We're both 38, which is pretty cool. Jackie does look a fair bit younger than me, which is one of the things.
Stop it.
But in my defence, the reason is that because I have two very young children, hers are a bit older now and she's probably sleeping, but I've got a 3-year-old and my little one's only just 1. So I'm still in that phase where 4 o'clock in the morning is a normal wake-up time.
Oh, my God. No, it's not.
This does change, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely does.
Okay, yeah, good. Because at the moment I'm just running on coffee. So a little bit about me. Look, I'm a business coach. I work with women in services businesses, and I've been a coach for about 3 years now. And you know, helping women is one of my favourite things in the world to do. Anyone who is in a coaching session with me sees I get really excited. I start talking really, really fast because I love helping people get really clear strategies in place to, you know, turn their businesses around, but do it while they're balancing life. And for a lot of my clients, they're mums. And so, you know, it's all well and good a successful business, but what's success if you're not looking after all of the other components of your life as well? So that's kind of what I specialise in. And as Jackie alluded to, I have my own office, which is pretty exciting. I've got the boys sharing a bedroom now. So both my hubby and I have our own offices at home, which is really nice because we have this space to actually focus and work on our businesses when we need to.
That's really good. I mean, my girls share a room and they're 6 and 9. So, I mean, you've got years ahead of you of them sharing, and that's absolutely fine because they're both the same sex as well, I find. Some mums that have kids that share a room that are opposite sex, they tend to split them up at a certain time when like they need their privacy and stuff. Although like my kids say, I want my privacy. And I'm like, well, I would like my privacy as well, but I have to share a bedroom. So you have to share a bedroom. That's kind of my comeback. And they're like, but Mum, you could sleep downstairs. I'm like, well, I don't really want to. That's just my way of telling them, shut up, shut up and suck it up. So you said you help women in service businesses. Like what kind of businesses are they?
Well, it's funny. I had a chat to someone this morning and she asked what kind of women I've worked with in business, and I started going, it's everyone. I've worked with copywriters, graphic designers, hairdressers, beauty technicians, makeup artists, people who run workshops, people in social media, artists. And I did say to her, what I need to do is write down a list so that whenever people ask me, I'm not spouting off these papers. I can actually give a comprehensive listing of everyone that I've worked with in services. But, you know, in summary, it's you know, all different kinds of services. But the thing, when I work with people, it is very, very much tailored to their own business. So just because someone's a copywriter as compared to a wedding planner, obviously I'm not giving them the same advice. I'm tailoring it completely to their own business.
And so are you just doing one-on-one coaching, or do you have seminars or workshops?
So I love one-on-one coaching. It's my passion. So I will always do that. But I also run online courses, and I've done workshops. I've appeared at, spoken at events and things like that. But I've realized I did start doing a group coaching package, and I realized that actually the one-on-one stuff is really what gets me excited. So I do lots of the one-on-one, and I also do the online courses for people who still want to learn all the content, still access all of the information, but at a more accessible price point.
Yeah, very much so. Tell me about, because I am not a public speaker at all. I can do interviewing. I can probably talk to 20 people online, in front of me. But as soon as I get up in front of that audience, I just go, "Wah!" and freak out. So do you have any tips on public speaking?
Well, funny you should say that, Jackie, because public speaking is a massive phobia of mine. I know that later on you were going to ask me a question about
yeah, what's your biggest
thing? But to be fair, the events that I've spoken at are always casual social events. So my sneaky tip is that I have a glass of wine before I get up and have a chat. So, because it's appropriate for that environment, that's, that's how I sort of manage the nerves there. The other thing too that I found, from public speaking, my corporate days, is that the more that you do it, the easier it gets. And unfortunately, it's one of those things. It's the same with everything in business. I know this sounds silly, but I used to have a really big fear of Instagram stories, and I'd always think they weren't cool enough, or I wasn't going to connect with people, or what do I post? Do people care about this? So I never posted anything. And then I sort of started small and just started going, I'm going to post every day. And then now I'm on Instagram stories all the time. It's just getting used to it and getting comfortable with it. And it's the same with public speaking. I've done a couple of podcasts now, and the first one I did, I got terribly nervous on. And, as you go, it gets easier and easier. So sort of immersing yourself in your fear is a great way to get through it.
I know that's my next
step. This is not helping me, Claire.
Yeah, it's not helping because I know that. I know I have to immerse myself in it, but how can I do it without actually doing it? That's what I want to know. That's can we clone me and make one really confident and out there, and I can just stay me? Can't we do that instead?
Baby steps, Jackie. Honestly, I think people want to get up and speak in front of 500 people, out of nowhere. And I say, start really small. I did when I first started coaching, I did some really, really small mastermind groups, and there was only sort of 6 people. And, over time, then you sort of start to go, okay, I'll try this, I'll try something different. And you do just get, just start somewhere, start small, and, grow over time.
Okay, very interesting. I remember my first podcast, hosting it. I wasn't actually that nervous. I was more so tired because, you've got a 1 and a 4-year-old. 1 and a 3-year-old.
3-year-old, yeah.
3-year-old. When I first launched this podcast, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a 1 and a 4-year-old, and I'd have to record everything after 8 o'clock at night when they went to bed. And by 8 o'clock at night, you're at shit, right? I was just, I'd be recording them in my bedroom, and I'd be so tired. So it wasn't the right time, I think, for this particular venture. But now I'm straight back into it, and
maybe if you find that when you're really tired you don't get nervous, you just public speak, don't sleep for 2 days before, and then you get there and you're just so zonked out that you're just really calm, and you're just I've got this, and you're half falling asleep, but you're actually
I would be hilarious. I would be that'd be like drunk Jackie. Yeah, welcome to the party. So just describe for us a day in the life of you. Do you have any tips or life hacks that you can share with the audience?
Well, my number one life hack is get children that don't wake up at 4 a.m. I haven't quite mastered that one yet, but I'm working on it. Look, to be honest, I'm actually an early riser anyway. I know it sounds like a crazy early number, but really, our ideal wake-up time is 5 a.m. Hubby and I both love to get up and get the day started. So really convert that to whatever a normal time for you is, and then take off an hour, because that's probably more realistically what it is. But then, every single day we do a family walk together, which sounds a bit cheesy.
That's so nice.
It sounds so cheesy, but honestly, it's the perfect start to the day. We've got Me, we've got the 3-year-olds on a bike now. Bubby's in the pram and our dog. And we go for – it's a 40-minute walk if you do it straight, but, we've got kids, so it takes an hour. And we do that, honestly, 6-7 days a week. It's so nice as a family. We feel like we're teaching our kids about exercise. We're walking the dog, so hopefully he's a bit less crazy. And it's just exercise for us, and it's that sanity. And also hubby and I use it as a nice time. Like, we chat a lot on our morning walk. And I don't know about you guys, but, sometimes with men you try and sit down and talk to them and they get a bit freaked out. But when you're walking, it's just a lot easier.
Well, I work with my husband, so like we talk all the time. That's just
there you go.
But it is a learnt thing, but it's a learnt thing with everyone, really, to get along.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. But I do, honestly, I think starting the day, whether it's, a family walk or exercise, because I find for me, if I don't do it at the start of the day, I just don't do it. So I think get out of bed, feet on the ground, hit the road, and then it's done. And then, if I do get to the gym or yoga or whatever, then that's just a bonus. But, getting that basic exercise start to the day. And then, the next thing that we drop the kids off to daycare a couple of days a week. Anyone who's in business, and I've met a few people who amazingly do this. I don't know how they do, but they have their kids at home while they work.
I did that.
You've done that?
I've done that. Yes, I've done that. It doesn't work well. Like, I was stressed all the time. I don't know how people do it. It's just like, because they'd be pulling at you for food, and you'd be on the phone call, like, trying to sound professional, but also be a mum. So, like, for years, I was not very good at it. So, but now they're at school, so it's all good.
Do you know what I say to people? I'm like, if you can, put them in childcare, because it just means my days when my kids are in childcare, I work. I get so much done because you just have to make the most of that time.
Also they're getting socialised.
The kids love it.
I know.
And, let's be honest, like at childcare, they're doing craft and,
glitter. And
baking and stuff. And let's be honest, not all of us are into all of that.
I don't want to make more mess in my house than I have to. Like, slime is a no. Like, slime is for a party. Slime is not for a play date after school. Like, I can't do it. Like, that's my thing at the moment. My kids love slime. So now they've gone to the blue tack that they put, like, hand cream or something into it, and they make it into their own little slime stuff. It's disgusting. Anyway.
And do you make them do it in the backyard, or do you just make them do it at childcare?
No.
Small as it is with your kids.
They sneak it. They sneak it into the house and do it. And they'll watch TV and they'll be playing with this little blue tack slime thing. And if I find it, it goes in the bin. So they know they can't leave it around because it just gets bin. So, yeah.
Those kids are just gross, really, aren't they?
They are. Disgusting.
Sit and read a book that doesn't make mess.
Yeah, sit and read a book. They're like, yeah, right. Like, no, I need to keep all the rubbish that you've created, Mum, from like all boxes, because I'm going to recycle that and use it for my artwork. I'm going to make this massive sculpture. I'm like, flip. So, yeah, that's what you got to look forward to.
I can't wait. So, yeah, but, I guess one of my life hacks would be, if you can put the kids in childcare, do it. And, people say to me, I can't afford childcare. And I'm like, if your business isn't at that point where it's making enough, then, you probably need to have another source of income anyway, because being able to, outsource is one of the best things that you can do for your business, just to have that space, because to your point, you're not being a great mum at the time and you're not being a great business. So, even with me, I still have days where I'm still having to work with the kids around, and it's tough. It's really tough. So if you can, use childcare. During the day, hubby and I, we both run our own businesses. We both work from home. So the day is pretty jam-packed with client work and writing content and doing social media and doing all of the fun things that us business owners do. Then obviously pick the kids up, bed and bath time. I don't know about, why is that such a crazy time of the day?
They call it the witching hour, don't they?
But why? I don't know. I have friends that don't have kids, and they say to me, I said, don't call me between the hours of 5 and 7 or 7:30. And people are like, why? And I was like, And they're like, don't you just give them something to eat and chuck them in the back? And I'm like, I agree. Like, I don't know why it's so hard.
We do that, but they like to scream and fight you. And they don't want to go to bed because they're missing it. They think they're missing out. I don't know. Like, it has calmed down for me. It has. But, like, if I get dinner on the table at, say, 6, like, they've already had a bazillion snacks, and I kind of know that they're not going to really eat the dinner. But if I get dinner on the table at 5, they'll eat it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if I get it at 5. Because, like, the thing is, like, it does change all the time. So they come home from school, I'm starving. Have you eaten your recess? No, well, eat your recess first. And then, like, it's just constant. Like, see, one of my children, the younger child, the 6-year-old, she'll have like 4 Wheat Bixes for breakfast, okay? And then my eldest one will have a cup of tea and some strawberries. You know, like, she'll have a really minimalistic breakfast. But then at the other end of the day, she'll eat a whole cow, you know. She just eats us out of house and home. So I've kind of got to manage the snack levels with the actual good dinner that I'm going to serve. But the earlier the dinner, the better chance I've got of them actually eating it. So
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my kids they're still at the age where they just start melting down if they're not eating at a certain time. But
we're just at a different time.
You know, in terms of managing your day when you're a mum and a business owner, which I assume most of your listeners are, then another couple of tips that I've got. One is don't take your mobile phone into the bedroom, because what I was finding was that hubby and I would wake up in the morning and be like, stretch out and roll over to our one true love, our mobile phone. And then at night we'd both lie there staring at our phones. And then, you know, during the night, if you wake up and you need the toilet or something, what do? You check your messages. And it becomes so disruptive. And we realised that we were paying attention to our phones before each other and that it was disrupting our sleep. So we have a strict rule now. We don't have phones in the bedroom, which means that you get a better night's sleep, which means that your days are better. And also same, you know, I know I sound like a mobile phone addict here, and that's because I am.
First step to addiction is to admit that you're an addict.
Well, that's it. And it's quite bad, but, you know, especially running an online business, as you would know, like you've got social media, you've got people commenting, you've got clients emailing you, you've got all kinds of things happening. So you feel like you need to always be there. And I'm like, what if I don't respond to someone's comment on social media? And you can get into that cycle where you sort of just spend so much time on your phone and you're actually missing out on all those special moments in life. Yeah. And I know that, like, I was finding just a couple of weeks ago, it was actually starting to really impact on my kids. And, that, you know, I was sitting there with them and just not even being present with them. So now I'm kind of like, either I'm in work mode and I'm working, or, you know, I'm not perfect at this, but, you know, I'm really, like, putting the phone down and just being present. And I think that's something for all business owners and all mums, really. Like, you know, it's not to beat up on mums, but just to say, hey, you know, you do only get so much time with your kids.
Yeah,
so,
when they're that little, that goes so fast.
Exactly. So, you know, try and have phone downtime. And the last thing, you know, the last little life hack or thing that I'd say about my week that I want to share with you guys is about having some you time and having some fun. And that sounds so like, oh, yeah, you know, it sounds a bit like a generic comment. But do you know what? Last year after my son, I found a bit like I'd lost, it was early this year, I found a bit like I'd lost the joy in my life. And I wasn't depressed. It was just that I was just like, I do nothing that's fun. Like, my whole life is work and breastfeeding and sleeping, and I just felt like I'd lost a part of me. And, you know, I don't know, just all that changed really. And it wasn't my husband going, you can't do it. I just sort of started going, well, I'm joining, you know, I joined a yoga studio. I started going and getting my nails done again. You listeners can't hear, but Jackie can see how beautiful they look.
Yes, they look great. I love getting my nails done.
And very short. They're not anything exciting, really.
They're not like Kardashian claws.
No, they're literally just tiny.
Oh, they're cute. They're good.
They're good. But do you know what? It makes me feel better about myself. And I think this is the thing, is that as mums, we are so, you know, you worry about everyone else. You worry about your husband. You worry about the kids. You worry about mealtimes. You worry about the house. You worry about your business. And it's like, what do you do for you? And as soon as I started putting that time and making me a priority again, I feel so much happier. And I just say that to everyone, like, no matter how crazy your life is with kids and everything, and it doesn't have to be spending money, even if it's just going for a walk or going and sitting in the backyard or hiding in the pantry and eating a chocolate bar. I don't know. Have something that makes you happy and schedule it and make it a priority, because otherwise you are just washing dishes and working and, that's not living life.
It's funny how you say washing dishes, because I don't have a dishwasher at home. So when I wake up, that's the first thing I do is I wash all the dishes from the night before that I haven't done the night before. But I try and just do one.
That breaks my heart.
I know, but the house that we're renting right now has no room for, like, really anything. It's a 2-bedroom in the inner west of Sydney. So, like, but we've got air conditioning. So we swapped the dishwashing for air conditioning, which I am, like, very grateful for. I'm like, yay, air conditioning. Then you get a power bill and you're like, turn off the air conditioning. So it's a
I'm
bit
just
of a
throwing something out there. Your kids are 6 and 9.
Oh, yeah, they want to do it. And I would love them to do it.
They definitely wash cutlery. I'm not saying slave labor.
They can dry the dishes, but, like, I'm a bit funny about it. I don't like food left on the dishes when they're washed. I'm so fuzzy, and I believe that it would just be like, So, yeah, no, I have actually got them to dry the dishes. I might actually implement that again, because that's kind of gone a little bit out the window, and I feel like I just wash them and leave them to dry. So I should, get them back into doing that, little buggers.
And I'm assuming that hubby does 50% of the dishes too, right?
He does some of them. He's good at, like, when the house gets a little bit out of control, he kind of steps in and goes, okay, that's it, and he'll do a massive clean. And I'm like, yes, thank you, Lord. So he's pretty good like that, and we work together as well. So he does a lot of the rubbish kind of stuff at work, which is like, we've got a lot of boxes and stuff because we sell, like, a physical product. We don't do a service-based business, which we should, because that would have been easier and less rubbish. So if I reckon 2 or 3 hours a week, he is cutting up boxes alone. So he does a lot of that. So we are fair, not even, if that makes sense. So no problems there. Anyway, look, I should really move on with my next question.
Sorry, I talk a lot, Jackie.
That is okay. So do I.
I talk a lot.
I'll just try and get the questions out a little bit quicker. Go. What was the best advice you've received so far?
Well, I've just kind of said it, actually. So here we go. Time saving already. Look it up.
Yes.
About efficiency, which is that you've got to look after yourself before you can look after others. So sometimes being selfish, taking some time going to the gym, saying no to a client, but then being a lot more present when you are with the next person. Sometimes being selfish is actually, the best thing that you can do. So always make sure you look after yourself before you look after others.
Yes, I believe that too. Where do you go to get your entertainment? Is it Netflix, books, podcasts, or are you only a creator of podcasts? YouTube or anything else? Like, how do you get entertained?
Look, I am shocking at reality TV. I love trash TV. I spend so much of my days, whenever I'm in the car, I'm always listening to podcasts or motivational CDs, or I love Brian Tracy. He's a bit old school, but he's quite solid. I listen to podcasts. One of my favorites is Mums with Hustle.
Tracy.
Yeah, I was on her podcast, actually, and I saw that you had her recently as well.
Yes, I did. She's great. She's got a great network.
Very, very cool. I spend so much of my day in all this serious space that when I switch off, I just want to watch just crap. So I love The Bachelor, The Bachelorette. I love the Kardashians. I'm really bad at it. But it's I just want bubblegum TV. I want something I don't have to think too much about. And hubby always laughs whenever he goes, let's pick a movie. And he's like, what do you want to watch? And he goes, let me guess, something light and easy. But for me, that's sort of, I don't get much time where I'm not, my brain's not consumed with 1,000 things. So I just like to switch off and watch some crappy reality TV. As I mentioned, I do listen to podcasts. I read books, but pretty much all the books and podcasts I listen to are business related. I want to learn as much as I can to serve my clients in that way. So at the moment I'm reading.
You just read my mind, didn't you? I was like, I'm just going to ask her now what she's reading, and you already answered my question before I even said it. It's like we're telecommunicating. Yes, we are a little bit. It's too scary.
I'm reading Em Isaac's book, which I can't remember
Winging
what it's called. Winging It, yes.
I'm reading the same book.
I met her at the Business Chicks event, and that's when I bought the book. And I got a really cool photo with her, which I got to put up on Instagram. And she is the nicest person. For someone who's so successful, she stood and had a chat to me about hand, foot, and mouth disease because she was saying one of her kids is sick, and I was just like, you're just so incredibly down to earth. She wasn't trying to rush the queue through. She just stood there, chatted to me, and having met her, I'm just so interested to learn everything that she's got to share. And already in the books, one of the things that she said is people always say I'm so laid back. And I'm like, that's one thing I'd love to learn more about being laid back. So
yeah, or even have the essence of laid back. Whereas ducks, their feet are going under the water, but at the top they just look like they're swanning around. I want to be like that, I'm
like that, like the feet are going, but my mouth's going like on top of the water as well. So,
you're halfway there then.
I get that air of calm.
Yes. And what's your go-to dinners of a nighttime? Like you, a one-pot wonder, like does the whole family eat the same dinner yet, or is it like my family doesn't eat the same dinner?
Oh, really? Gosh, that's hard. Have we got fussy eaters?
Well, I kind of started the trend because I'm a fuss pot, and then I think my kids just picked up on that, and so we'll have spaghetti, right? So tonight I'll make spaghetti, but my husband and my eldest daughter will have the same spaghetti. I will have the spaghetti sauce because spaghetti pasta makes my stomach hurt so much, so I'll make it out of zucchini boats. And then my youngest daughter hates the spaghetti mince, so she'll just have this pasta. So it's the same meal but deconstructed and reconstructed.
That's so funny. Do you know, I grew up in a household. I'm the eldest of 5 kids, so there were 7 people in my household. And there was a saying, you have 2 choices for dinner, take it or leave it.
Oh, I love it. I should really take your advice.
So, with our kids, our 3-year-old, I don't know why, he's just refusing to eat at the moment. He sits there and we don't keep offering him, do you want this, do you want this, do you want this? We're like, you sit here and you eat it or you don't eat. And let me assure you, he always eats breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
But, no, look, I can't cook. So my husband's a fantastic cook. So he's the chef in our household. When I was single, I swear to God, before I met him, this is what I used to eat. You can get these bags of frozen veggies. They go in the microwave for 2.5 minutes. So I used to do that. 2.5 minutes, tip a tin of tuna on top, squirt of tomato sauce, dinner. I ate that nearly every night of the week.
I did that, but without the tomato sauce.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are we leading parallel lives here?
I feel like we are, actually, because I wasn't a good cook before I met Ben either. And when I met him, he showed me a few tricks, and now I'm like so much better at him than cooking. And I love it. I do love cooking though. I like. I
hate it. So I stick to what I'm good at, which is being the household director. And I just
such a fancy name. What did you do before this business? I've got to ask. What was your corporate thing?
Oh, I'm an accountant by trade.
Okay.
And I moved into the commercial space. I was in management, so doing a similar thing to coaching, like doing sort of advisory work. But whenever I told people I was an accountant, they laughed and they're like, I can see why you didn't stick with that.
You're too personality-ified.
I was more big picture than in the detail. So I don't cook.
Okay, next question. Let's move on.
Sorry, Jackie.
What's one area of your life you would like to improve?
Just one?
You can have 2 if you want.
Look.
Okay, that's enough.
Straight away jumped out to me. At the moment, I'm struggling a bit with this post-baby weight. So that was the first thing that I thought. And then it kind of led me back to the last thing, which was thinking, do you know what? If I was still eating those bags of frozen veggies and tins of tuna, quite frankly, I'd be much slimmer.
You would, because there's no carbs in that, pretty much.
Exactly.
Or calories, really, for that matter.
Or nutrition in general, really, because it's just all frozen, pre-packaged stuff. But I was thin. Look, the big thing that I would like to improve would be the area of freedom. It was my word that my intention that I set for 2018, which seems very laughable now, because I had a 2-month-old baby and I said I want to be free. And so I think that what I mean by freedom is that the freedom of having choices. So, you know, if you want to go traveling, you can go traveling. If you want to hire a cleaner, you can have a cleaner. And to be fair, in many respects, you know, last year I got to go and spend a week in Fiji. We've done quite a few trips around Australia. And we've got help around the house, which I love. So in some respects, we've achieved freedom. But in other respects, I've never had less freedom. But, you know, as I said,
what's your word for next year?
My word for next year isn't going to be freedom. I think it's going to be about growth.
Okay.
So I think I'm being a bit more realistic about, you know, where I'm at in my business and my life and everything. So next year's going to be about, you know, about growth. And, yeah.
You know what? I think you said freedom, but I think you wanted flexibility.
Yes.
Yeah. To be by yourself.
I think freedom, I think literally like when I wrote the word freedom, I was like, grab a backpack and jump on a plane.
Oh.
But yeah, that's not going to happen.
You can't do that with babies, unfortunately.
No.
So we've already touched on your greatest fear and how do you deal with it, which was public speaking, and you just do more of it. So I'm just going to go straight into the quick questions and then I'll let you get on with your day. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I'm actually enjoying this. I'm in no rush. It's just you that's trying to hurry this along.
Okay. Well, we could be here all day long. What websites have you signed up to recently that you actually find value in receiving their emails?
So I've got 2 favourite emails that I love to get. And they're one is Tracy that we spoke about, Mums with Hustle, before. I sound like a bit of a stalker here, but I love her style. I love her just the way that she speaks. She's really honest and raw about a lot of things, and I really connect with that. And she gives heaps of value. And the other person that I'm fangirling after big time at the moment is Denise Duffield-Thomas.
That's the one that wrote that article, isn't it?
Yes, about outsourcing.
Yes.
And so she's sort of my inspiration in terms of, like, you know, getting help around the house. And she talks, like, her big jam, she wrote this book called Lucky Bitch. Yeah. And her jam is all about money mindset and about having a positive mindset about money. And I did her course last year, and I can't tell you how invaluable it is, just looking at things and life differently, and it's particularly things around money. So they're probably my 2 favourite emails that I get. But I do get lots of other wonderful ones. So if you're listening and I'm subscribed to emails, I don't hate them. If I'm still there, I'm still enjoying them. But those are probably the 2 that stand out most to me. Oh, and the other one that I love is mine, because my newsletters are, I think that they're awesome. I take a lot of care in my newsletters. I pack them with heaps of value. I'm always doing lots of different things, so I share as much of my content as I can in all of my newsletters. So if anyone wants to sign up to my newsletters as well, I highly recommend them.
Oh, my God, I love that. You're like, and there's one more. Hey, you would have heard of the Barefoot Investor? You heard of him?
Of course, yeah.
So I think, because I've only just heard of Denise pretty much yesterday by that email, but that outsourcing blog that she put out, which I found was that she gets a lot of help. Like when I read through it, I was like, oh, wow, that's really good. But she's working, right? So, like, if you don't get that help, you can't achieve those things. It's as clear as day, really. But I went through her website just this morning, and there was one thing about 37 things I love about money or hate about money on my 37th birthday. So I think she's only just turned 37, or she's maybe 38, our age, I'm not sure. And one of them was, how does she teach good money habits to her children? And I felt like going, read Scott Pape's book.
Yes.
Barefoot Investor.
Yes.
So maybe those two need to talk and create a super book, because that would be amazing.
Although they're quite different. Yeah, like because I'm working through his book as well, Barefoot Investor, but his is more, I guess, like practical, like, you know, how to put money aside, and whereas hers is more like manifested, and she's more like about talking to the universe and attracting money into your life. And he's like a financial advisor. I think that he'd be a bit like, what are you talking about, woman? I could be wrong.
Be interesting to put them together though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. That's why I love both of them. I'm kind of drawing from both different sort of components, when it comes to the money side.
Yeah, awesome. What's one piece of advice you would give your pre-baby self?
Jackie's laughing because she's already read my answer, and I wrote, don't have children. But it was a joke. Look, the one piece of advice, you know, if I could go back and have a chat to 20-year-old Claire, I wish I'd started my business earlier. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was like I just always knew I wanted to run my own business. I'd meet people around their own business, and I'd sit there with my mouth hanging open just staring at them, and they'd be like, I made $20 last month. And I'd be like, I want to be you. But it took me nearly 20 years. It took me, 15 years it took me until I actually took the step and did it on my own. And I did it when I had a brand new baby, and a mortgage, a couple of mortgages, and a husband. And it's funny, like, I just wish that I'd taken the step and had the confidence in myself when I was, I didn't have all of these big financial commitments. And I think how much further I'd be into my business journey now than I am now. But it's funny, I don't know, life always happens for a reason, and maybe that was all just part of my path.
Well, you've got a lot of different skills now than what you would have back then.
This is true.
A little bit of insight. I actually started my own business at 22, and I called it, because I thought I was so smart, Prodigy Paraplanners. How does that sound?
That is genius. You are so smart.
Well, not really, because I was stressed out of my brain, and then I couldn't sleep at night. But what it is basically I would write statements of advice, which is like a financial plan, for advisors, and charge them a nominal fee, and then they would go and make bulk commission out of selling their recommendations by this plan that I would have written for them. And that was my business model. And this was before Upwork was even available. So I couldn't outsource anything to anyone, because the internet was still like a baby, basically. So it only lasted for 18 months before I had 14 clients from all over Australia writing these plans. And in the end, I was like, I am not making anywhere near enough money to be stressed out this much. So then I packed it all in and went to work for the man in a financial planning firm. So that was me at 22. Crazy, huh? So,
wow.
Yeah.
And how long have you been running your business for?
Well, I work with my husband, so we started it together, and it's in its 5th year now. So,
wow.
Yeah, but that's because I didn't want to go back to the banks after I had my second child, because we just moved over from WA to Sydney. And the reason why we did that was so Ben would be paid more and I could stay home and look after the kids. And then when it was time for me to get a job, I said, I don't want to do that. So then
I think your voice is like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. And then we started a business, and I thought, if we could make a couple of $100 and I could stay home with the kids, that would at least pay for groceries, right? And then it became better than what we could have imagined. So we work heaps, but it's still like it's a really good outcome for what we were hoping for, really. It's better than what we were hoping for. So, yeah, that's just a little bit more background on me in the quick question section. Final question.
I'm incapable of answering a quick question. There's something wrong with me here.
Okay, final question. We could get through this. What's the most useful or useless baby item you have?
So I've got one of each because, again, I can't just answer a quick question. My most useful baby item that I purchased, and I don't know why I'm telling everyone this live, but someone who does this would make an absolute fortune. Any of the listeners who think you want a business idea, a plastic mat for the floor. Because if you don't want to have to mop the floor after your baby eats, I don't know if everyone else's kids are like mine, but food ends up everywhere. So basically I put down this plastic mat and then take it out in the backyard and hose it off. So I don't have to mop the floor. It's just all contained in one spot. But actually there's not – I could only find one company that does it, and even they – like it's impossible to find anyone that stocked it. So I ended up just buying a sheet of plastic from Bunnings. So – my most useful baby item is actually that plastic mat because it saves me from having to mop all the time. And my most useless is the bumbo because I saw bumbos were all the rage when I had my first kid. And so I've gone and bought a bumbo because I'm like, everyone's got a bumbo. I need to be one of the cool mums. But both of my children were larger babies. By larger, I mean 100th percentile. And so their little thighs wouldn't fit inside the bumbo. So I'm trying to squish them in, super squishy thighs. So I ended up selling this completely unused bumbo on Gumtree. So I don't know, I'm hearing that other people can use them, but to me it seemed like the most useless thing ever.
I wanted a bumbo so badly with my first kid, but we couldn't afford it because we had a mortgage. And we'd gone down to one wage and I really wanted it. So then I got it for my second kid and she kind of tried to like get out of it because she didn't want to be in it. So that was one of my useless items as well, but I really wanted it so bad, but I just couldn't justify spending the money on it. And I did get it secondhand. So that's my little story about the bumbo. Yay, we got to the end, Claire. We did it.
We did it.
Thank you for being on the podcast. It's been really enjoyable. Lots of good information there as well. So cheers.
We mainly just laughed a lot, really.
I know. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Busy Mum podcast. Don't forget to let your friends know and also subscribe to the iTunes channel and also my socials if you want to see what I'm getting up to. A brand new episode is out every Monday morning, just like clockwork.